Hi stamping friends, Sandi here. Today I'm doing a little bit of color blocking and I'm going to be using the Mondo Amaryllis from Essentials by Ellen. And I dumped into my scrap bin, grabbed some colors and cut a bunch of strips, and I share the sizes in the PDFs for the cards that are on my blog today. And I figured that I would cut them the width of the cardstock so that they were easy to mount. So I mounted them on a piece of plain white cardstock, and you'll see I'm adding a lot of adhesive. If you're going to cut really small pieces with this, I would suggest using a whole strip of adhesive and covering the entire back of it. And you want to try and get these on as straight as possible. That's why I'm using my grid paper. So I'm starting with the, what is this called? Fresh Asparagus Green from Gina K. And then I'm using Soft Stone. These are all from Gina K. And Tranquil Teal is the blue. These colors are absolutely fabulous and I like them for this card and in particular for Christmas and this stamp. So I'm fussing here trying to get them as straight as possible, but I'm also trying to hurry so this video is not too long. And the reason I decided to do a half sheet is because I can make multiple cards out of this. I'm going to use half for one whole card, and then I cut pieces down and use it for other cards, but I'm only making 2 on this video. And I have a little bit of an overhang, so I'm taking my 4 1/4 right off of the one side there, and then you'll see the second piece I'm going to trim off the white that is sticking out on the edge so that I can use that for a few other things. And this piece I actually use for color blocking the sentiment on the first card that you'll see here in just a minute. I'm starting with an A2 size card, so 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded at 5 1/2. I'm going to pop it into my MISTI because I'm going to gold heat emboss the Amaryllis on the front of the card. So I'm using VersaMark as my ink and trying to ink it up really well, giving it a really good rub, and then I'm going to cover it with a gold embossing powder, shake off the excess, and heat set it. And this is going to be super fast and easy cards, which I like to do for the holidays, and also reasonably flat so that there's no extra postage required. So here I'm going to use the gray and the blue stripes, and I'm going to make a color block sentiment with a sentiment from one of the stamp sets. Again, this is the Mondo Amaryllis, and I'm going to heat emboss this as well. So VersaMark ink again, and then gold embossing powder. Yeah, love to do embossing for the holidays for my cards. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to bring my cutter back in. I'm going to slice this end piece off because it would make a nice piece for another card. Save as much as you can from these things. And then snip just the size that you need for the card that we're working on. And there we go. Just a couple of glue dots on the back of that, and I centered it at the bottom because I wanted to cover the bottom where the flower kind of ends. For the second card, I decided to gold emboss on gold mirror cardstock. I love this stuff, and I think it's just really flashy for the holidays. So I'm kind of going over the top here. It's a little spendy, but hey, some of your friends are worth it, right? So again, heat embossing. I'm using the VersaMark once again and covering it with a gold embossing powder, shaking off the excess and heat setting it. And then I'm going to die cut it with the coordinating die. But before that, I am going to heat emboss my sentiment in the bottom of this block, and then that way I can put all my heat embossing away. So again, I'm using another sentiment from the set. I think there's 3 or 4 sentiments that come with it, which is really awesome. And using my anti-static to make sure I get rid of all my sticky finger marks, making sure it's straight, using the lines on the grid on the front of my MISTI. And again, gold embossing. And it looks fabulous on those dark green. It looks really fabulous on the blue as well, by the way. I've tried it. Next, we're going to play with my new favorite tool, my Gemini Junior, but there's one thing I wanted to show you. Check out the lovely sleeve and the magnetic base you get with your dies from Ellen Hutson. I love her storage system. You don't have to change anything. The plastic isn't cello bags. It's actual plastic, so it's nice and sturdy, and they last a really long time. The dies are also quite fabulous, and I'm lining mine up right now and just putting some of my purple tape on there to hold it in place. And then I'm going to turn it over and run it through my machine. And out pops my beautiful cut flower. These dies are fabulous and they cut really nice. Isn't that pretty? So now I, again, am going to do a white card base, and you'll notice that I'm using my Scor-Buddy, and one of my favorite things about this is when I have to mount a card top to my card base, use lots of adhesive, and then jam everything back up into that top left-hand corner, and put your top in too, and it will go on straight every time. There's my little tip for you for today. Perfect each time. I'm going to use glue dots to attach my gold flowers to the card front. And I sort of put one in every spot that has kind of a pokey outie, and a couple on the leaves at the bottom. And then just angle it around the sentiment. And there you go. And now the final embellishment is some gold sequins. So there's 2 more holiday card ideas for you. I think they're really, really pretty, and they have this lovely gleam to them with all the gold. Isn't that pretty? And then just a hint of color in the bottom of that one. And then, of course, this one color blocking. And you could put almost any color combination together. Just hit that bin of yours and see what you come up with. All the supplies I used are listed below in the video. And there's also PDFs over on my blog. And if you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And until next time, toodles!